Welcome to our channel. Today I want to take you to another exciting tour to Brazil, so please subscribe. Welcome to Brazil, a land of rhythm, resilience, and breathtaking contrasts. To truly understand Brazil, we must first forget it. Forget the vibrant pulse of samba that echoes through city streets. Forget the dazzling spectacle of Carnival that ignites the night with a riot of color and sound. We must look beyond the modern skyline of São Paulo, past the iconic embrace of Christ the Redeemer, overlooking Rio de Janeiro, and even before Portuguese became the language of a sprawling, unified nation. We must journey back in time to an era shrouded in the mists of the Amazon, to a land that existed long before it was ever named Brazil. Because before the arrival of European ships, before the drawing of colonial maps, this immense territory was already teeming with life. It was a world woven from the threads of colossal forests, mighty rivers that acted as highways, and a staggering diversity of human cultures. Here, sophisticated civilizations rose and fell, their histories stretching back thousands of years, creating societies with legacies far older than many of Europe's most celebrated empires. This was a continent of its own, a mosaic of peoples and ecosystems. So on this journey, we will do more than simply tour the Brazil of today. We will travel through time itself. We will trace the contours of its origins, confront the deep shadows of its pain, bear witness to the enduring power of its people, and immerse ourselves in its breathtaking, untamed beauty. We are seeking the soul of the land. Brazil before Brazil existed. Long before the year 1500, before a single European caravel broke the horizon, this land was home to an estimated 5 to 8 million people. They were not a single entity, but a rich tapestry of hundreds of distinct groups, speaking over 1,000 different languages. From the Tupi-Guarani peoples who dominated the coastline, to the G-speaking communities of the Central Highlands, they had developed intricate social structures, profound spiritual beliefs, and a relationship with their environment built on millennia of accumulated wisdom. This was their world, complete and absolute. Before the first Portuguese sails appeared on the horizon, the land we now call Brazil was a vibrant tapestry of human existence. It wasn't an empty wilderness, but a continent teeming with millions of people. Estimates suggest a population of anywhere from 2 to 6 million, organized into more than 1,000 distinct tribes. This wasn't a monolithic culture. It was a mosaic of societies, each with its own unique customs and beliefs, most profoundly expressed through language. Hundreds of distinct languages echoed through the forests and savannas. Among this linguistic wealth, 4 major families stood out. The most widespread was Tupi-Guarani, whose speakers were masters of the coast and great rivers, their words carried on the ocean breeze. Deeper in the interior, the Macro-J peoples carved out their existence in the highlands and savannas. Further north, the Arawak and Carib language families dominated the vast Amazon basin, their territories defined by the winding rivers that served as highways and sources of life. There was no single Brazilian language. The land spoke in many voices. Each language was a repository of knowledge, a library of ecological wisdom, spiritual understanding, and ancestral history passed down through generations of oral tradition. These societies lived in deep connection with nature. They were not separate from it. They were an integral part of the ecosystem. Their agriculture, like the cultivation of manioc and corn, was adapted to the specific soils and climates. Their architecture, from communal longhouses to temporary shelters, used materials from the surrounding forest. Their spirituality was woven into the landscape, with sacred significance given to mountains, rivers, and the animals that shared their world. This profound relationship was the foundation of their existence. Advanced agriculture, fishing, and river trade. Spiritual beliefs tied to the forest, stars, and ancestors. This was not an empty land. It was a living civilization. The arrival of the Portuguese, 1500. In 1500, Portuguese explorer Pedro Álvares Cabral arrived on the Brazilian coast. At first, Portugal saw Brazil as a source of Brazilwood, a valuable red dye, and that's where the name Brazil comes from. But soon, the empire realized something bigger. Fertile land, endless coastline, massive economic potential. Portugal claimed Brazil and colonization began. Slavery and the African diaspora. As the sugar economy exploded across Brazil's northeast, the Portuguese crown faced an insatiable demand for labor. The vast plantations, or engenhos, were brutal, sprawling enterprises, and the initial attempts to enslave the indigenous Tupi and Guarani peoples proved unsustainable. They resisted fiercely, knew the land too well to be easily captured, and were tragically susceptible to European diseases. And so, Portugal turned its gaze across the Atlantic, initiating one of the darkest and most extensive chapters in human history, the transatlantic slave trade. This brutal system was built on the forced migration of millions, a journey of unimaginable suffering known as the Middle Passage. Packed into the dark, suffocating holds of slave ships, countless lives were lost to disease, malnutrition, and despair before they ever reached Brazil's shores. The scale is staggering. Between the 16th and 19th centuries, over 4.5 million Africans were forcibly taken to Brazil. This number is not just a statistic. It represents nearly 40% of all enslaved people brought to the Americas, making Brazil the single largest destination for enslaved Africans in the world. For over 300 years, this trade defined the colony's economy and forged its social structure. These individuals were not a monolith. They were captured from diverse and sophisticated societies across a vast continent. They came mainly from two major regions, West Africa, particularly the slave coast in the Bight of Benin. This region was home to the Yoruba, Fon, and Ewe peoples, whose rich cultural and religious traditions would profoundly shape Brazil. And Central Africa, where the Portuguese had long established contact. Millions of Bantu-speaking people from the powerful Congo and Ndongo kingdoms, in areas corresponding to modern-day Angola, Congo, Benin, and Nigeria, were captured and transported, bringing with them their own distinct languages, skills, and beliefs. This forced diaspora laid the foundations for a new Afro-Brazilian identity. They were treated as property, yet they reshaped Brazil forever. African influence lives on in music, samba, capoeira rhythms, religion, candomblé, umbanda, food, acarajé, feijoada, dance, language, and identity. Brazil abolished slavery only in 1888, one of the last nations on earth to do so. Brazil today, a continent in one country. Brazil is the largest country in South America, the fifth largest country in the world, home to over 215 million people. It borders 10 countries, covers nearly half of South America, and contains the Amazon rainforest massive river systems, beaches stretching over 7,400 kilometers. Brazil isn't just a country, it's a continent of cultures. Culture, traditions, and the Brazilian spirit. Brazilian culture is a fusion of indigenous roots, African heritage, Portuguese influence. Immigrant communities from Europe, Asia, and the Middle East family, joy, music, and community are central to daily life. Carnival isn't just a party, it's history in motion. Born from European festivals fueled by African rhythm, transformed into a global cultural phenomenon, Rio, Salvador, Recife. Each carnival tells a different story. Music and dance, samba bossa nova. Forró, funk, capoeira, a martial art disguised as dance. Music isn't entertainment in Brazil, it's identity. What attracts the world to Brazil? People come to Brazil for natural beauty, cultural depth, warm, expressive people, adventure and spirituality. A feeling of freedom you can't explain, only feel. Brazil doesn't try to impress you, it pulls you in. 5 must-do experiences in Brazil. 1. Experience Carnival in Rio or Salvador. Witness the world's biggest celebration, colors, drums, dances, and pure human energy. 2. Explore the Amazon rainforest, the lungs of the planet. Indigenous wisdom, wildlife, rivers that look like oceans. 3. Visit Christ the Redeemer and Rio's landscapes, one of the new 7 wonders of the world, overlooking beaches, mountains, and city life. 4. Discover Salvador da Bahia, the heart of Afro-Brazilian culture, history, food, religion, and rhythm everywhere you turn. 5. Relax on Brazil's iconic beaches. From Copacabana to Fernando de Noronha, paradise isn't a myth here. Closing, emotional, inspirational. Brazil is not just a destination. It's a story of survival, resistance, creativity, and joy. A land shaped by indigenous wisdom, African strength, and cultural fusion, standing today as one of the most vibrant nations on Earth. When you visit Brazil, you don't just see it, you feel it. And once Brazil gets into your soul, it never leaves. You like it? Subscribe to the channel, because there are more tour destinations will thrill you in this channel.